Andrew, do it. Go ahead.
Pull it now?
Yes, the emergency
What
one.
if I cut myself on the glass?
Do it.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay.
Hey, Vern.
All right, now that sounded, everyone, this is Ben Roy. I just wanted to let you know on this episode, give you a little bit of a content/trigger warning. We are going to be discussing issues of sexual abuse. If that is something that could potentially bring up old trauma or past things or set you back in any way, you may not want to listen to this episode. So I just really wanted to give you all a heads up.
Was that like an earnestness horn out the gates?
That's right. What the people? What the people?
We're getting big, our worries are mixed. Let's have some cake. What the Grawlix say? We're getting big, our worries are mixed. Let's have some cake. What the Grawlix say? We're getting big, our worries are mixed. Let's have some cake. What the Grawlix say?
They say you can't judge a book by its cover, but here's the thing. You can judge a wine by its label. And I think you actually have to. Because if you just pop the cork on that sucker and take a little sip-ski, I'll tell you what, Applejack Liquors bans you for life. My name is Adam Caton Holland. This is the Grawlix Saves the World.
Hi, I'm Ben Roy.
And I'm Andrew Orvidal.
This is a comedy podcast about bettering your world, and it's like, if you know a better way to figure out whether that wine's good than taking a sip, well, yeah, I'd love to hear it. But short of that, I guess I'll just judge by the
Adam,
label,
are you drinking?
And that's weird. Yeah, are you street drinking again? And it's weird that you could be running afoul of Applejack Liquor, who they seem like they'd be okay with you having a little taste.
Well,
I don't know.
They're very open drunks. I mean, no one is. Applejack has been very open about their.
You guys know
our podcast is brought to you by Applejack Liquors.
I'm a bit of a local celebrity, and I guess I've gotten used to some entitlement. Like if I walk into a store and I want to sample a product, most people just fucking let me do it. And so to like have this manager who's 26 just undress me in front of like a line of holiday customers is something I'm never going to forget.
Oh, we know. We did the bakery episode. We know.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah. And you do undress people from time to time in Applejack's liquor, which is why you're not allowed to taste the liquor
I undress
anymore.
people?
Well, you drink.
I think he's trying to be helpful. He's like, why don't you take this parka is doing nothing for you. He's taking the parka off. He's putting on a vest. He's like, now you look a dashing gentleman. They don't like it.
Well,
100%.
you're drunk. And that's the problem.
Jim, I've been seeing you at the gym. Why you got that heavy parka on? Show the people your muscles, I said.
Hell of an improv, Adam, the way you used Jim and Jim. You couldn't
Jim
find
from the gym.
another. You couldn't find another name.
Jim at the gym.
It's amazing.
Was
it's an economical style. You're really getting all the juice out of your words.
As soon as I chose Jim, I was like, oh boy, I'm in the corner of the room and the floor is wet paint everywhere. I don't know.
I could see you. I'm like, why didn't you go with Jim
from the
gym? You at the fitness center. Why didn't you do that?
In hindsight, I would have, Robert from the gym, but no, it wasn't there at the time.
Or Jim from the coffee shop. There's really so many combinations, and unfortunately, you rolled snake eyes on that one.
Look, there's a flag on the play. Flag on the play.
Jim from the gym.
Jim from the gym. What a gem about Jim from the gym. That was a real gem.
Swish.
Dudes, today, I had told you I have the advice needed, and we are going to forego another lovely, I call them customers now. I don't even call them listeners. Another customers.
I like that.
Yeah. I like it.
Let's get like a meat counter ticket machine we can maybe put up and people, can grab a number.
That'd be so funny. Just like a rip. We're
behind the glass counter in bloody aprons, but it's just advice.
That's kind of great. And I'm just hacking things in the background with loud chops.
Yep. And I'll be like, Jim. He was at the gym this morning. And that's why he's at
Jim from the gym. What do you need today, buddy?
Jim from the gym. No, that's what's notable about their friendship, and I can see why Adam would say that, because they did have a laugh in the parking lot about about the homonym confusion with that. So I get it, Adam. I get it.
And at the end of that laugh, I hugged him, and he's like, "We're not there yet." And I was
so your riff, while it dies on the vine, and you guys can continue to try.
I know, and I was belaboring the point.
So anyway, good, sweet riff, dudes. A lot of good
Thank
riffing
you.
up front. A lot of goofing.
Thank you.
Riff City's economy is
Humming.
still crushing right now. But no, I wanted to bring or get both of your advice regarding something in my life. And I know, as people who are listening to this in the cold open, that this will be a bit heavy. So I also understand that you guys are yucksters, and you are
Jim
going
from the gym.
You're gonna,
Guilty. Yeah. Did you hear that? You better watch out.
So basically what I wanted to bring to you both is, I think we had talked, I've been fairly open about some experience I had, and some abuse I experienced while at a Catholic summer camp named Camp Fatima, that is in New Hampshire. It's in Western New Hampshire, when I was a kid. And because of that, I have been fortunate enough to do some interviews regarding it on Colorado Public Radio with Ryan Warner. And from that, I was contacted by the Assistant Attorney General of New Hampshire after that to go in and file charges, to make a formal, to give a deposition about what had happened and file criminal charges. Since then, typical of a lot of these types of cases, not much has happened. The sheriff's department in that particular county have stopped responding to any of my emails or calls. They don't return my calls. I was told by a victim's advocate that I have no rights under their victim's advocacy because there's been no proof of a crime committed yet, despite the fact that I turned over the name of another person who corroborated it. I've turned over two names, actually, to them. And while I was in Florida at a music and comedy festival with Spells and doing stand-up, another person, so this is the third person that I've spoken to, came forward to tell me their story about what had happened at this camp. And what immediately follows every time is this period where I become obsessed with doing something, and it sort of spirals me. And I notice that my interactions with people get a little more difficult. My depression or anxiety gets worse. And there's this need that I feel to like do something, about it. And I'm getting to the point where I'm wondering if it's worth it anymore. Like if digging into this or continuing to try to fight this battle is worth my mental health, that kind of thing. And so I guess that's what I'm coming to you guys for. I know it's kind of a heavy question. I know but you guys know me the best. I've known you for a long time. We've worked very closely together in a work setting as well as personally. And so, I feel comfortable bringing this to you. And also I figure, who knows, maybe this will help somebody who's listening with what you guys think.
First of all, thank you for sharing all of that. I mean, we know this, but it's always like vulnerable, especially when we're like on a fucking podcast talking about it for people who are going to be hearing it. Is what you're turning to us for, like, what are you asking us? Like, should I continue to fight this, or
should I continue to fight this, and what's the best way to do so? If you have suggestions, that kind of a thing.
And how to like avoid kind of spinning out and
yes,
like you do.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, listen, I'm in therapy. I've been doing, I've started EMDR and things like that. And honestly, like some of the things as of late are positive things. I'm learning to perhaps put things aside that are not healthy for me or not servicing me, or are situations that could be toxic. And I feel as if the person is not, either people or person is not healthy or whatever, or is not meeting me, because I tend to take a lot of the blame for things, or I tend to assume a lot. which is what we do as survivors of things. We have heavy guilt complexes. So I'm definitely getting better at some things, but this is part of me that just wonders, is looking at this anymore worth it? Do you know what I mean? Like, how, in your minds, as people who are completely unqualified to make that decision, but
We were basically doctors, so you came to the right place.
I don't think.
I mean, what's the number of episodes? Almost 150. Like, there's nothing we can't fucking do.
Yeah.
Well, I know,
There's
but
that like Malcolm Gladwell's rule of expertise.
I don't think
pros.
because you have a Percocet problem that we should call you a doctor, Andrew. But
Well, tomato.
so
I'd shake a pill bottle.
I think this episode may end up being more of a discussion, maybe. I don't know, but I'm definitely
Sure.
curious.
No. This episode is competitive advice.
Hey, I
to
like
a
it.
friend.
I want to judge you both on one of the most painful parts of my
Yeah.
life. So let's go.
Yeah. Lash out at us. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay. I'm
all
down
right.
to talk about this. Thanks
Okay.
for sharing.
Yeah.
We will get
Yeah.
into this in the
Thanks for
second
bringing
act.
something real
Yeah, of
to
course.
the pod.
You know what
Especially, better
you know
than
how
Andrew's
I do.
bullshit.
Not that you don't usually, but you don't usually.
Andrew,
Okay.
yeah, Adam, I don't want to point out, Andrew brought some custody.
He did bring some very real stuff.
Yeah.
recently.
And I bet you feel bad about that. Why don't we do this? We're going to take a quick break.
We're gonna take. We got to pay some bills. New
yeah.
sponsor, Jim's Gym, is on.
Wow.
For Jim opened his own gym, and I've started.
No,
going
it's a
there.
rock and mineral shop. It's Jim's GEM.
Yes, it's Jim's Gym, and it's that's out on West McCaslin and Frontage Road 340. And so no, we got to pay some bills. We're gonna have some commercials right now. Although I'm gonna tell you right now, if you just subscribe to that Patreon, if you just give a little money to your boys here, we're gonna make those commercials go away. We're gonna.
And I just want to say, for real, we're at the highest number of Patreon subscribers we've ever been at, and they're satisfied fucking customers because of what we're giving them. So thank you to everyone who's supporting us on Patreon. If you're not, you're missing a lot of fun goodies that are on there, and you got to listen to these commercials. So listen to the commercials unless you're a Patreon member, in which we'll see you momentarily.
This episode is brought to you by Jim's Gym. It used to be a Gold's Gym, but I bought the building and changed the sign. I'm Jim, and I support this podcast.
Okie dokie, and we are back. And I got to say, guys, those were some of my favorite commercials to date.
What are some of the targeted ones that you get when you listen? For real, what are some that you get?
Oh, God.
They say it's somehow like based, I don't know, on your browsing history, or I don't know if they use cookies or what, but I get so many ads for candy. It's embarrassing.
I mean, that's actually pretty fucking
That's pretty
spot
good.
on.
Mine are so
Yeah.
boring. It's like King Super's holiday discounts, Progressive
what I get.
Insurance. I get
Yep.
shit like that.
Yeah.
I get candy and I get therapy ads like Better Health. They've got me pegged.
See, Ben, you're more normal than you think. It's Andrew who's got the problems.
Oh, Andrew is a snack searcher 24/7.
The algorithm tells the tale.
Yep.
Well, if you skip the first act, which some of you definitely do, we've
got new second actors that we're calling what? Meat eaters. They just
Yes.
get in there for the
they
cold
take
cuts.
the bun off. They're keto people. They just want the meat and the cheese in the center.
Just bring the burger on a plate. None of the fucking fixins.
The LDL is
No
out of control.
Jim riff. You missed out. You're going to want to rewind this
Yeah,
one.
Go back.
Oh, boy. You're going to want to go back on this one.
Regardless of how serious it gets from here on out, I might just call the episode Jim's Gym.
Please do.
And then people will never know.
We're workshopping our dry-by bar special material, and you're going to want to go back and listen to it. Okay.
So to recap real quick, I experienced some sexual abuse when I was a kid at a Catholic summer camp that was run by the Archdiocese of New Hampshire. After doing a series of interviews, and now they are articles online with Colorado Public Radio, I have started to and regularly receive messages from people who experience the same thing and tell me, keep shining the light, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But every time that I do that, it does have an effect on me. Every time these things come up and there's this feeling like I can't do anything again, or I'm not being listened to again, because as I've mentioned, Belknap County Sheriff's Office they've just stopped responding to emails. They don't even talk to me anymore, despite the fact that more people are coming forward from this camp. So I came to you guys. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't want it to affect relationships anymore. There's a part of me that wants to heal and move on. And it's, I could use some advice from people who know me best, who have seen me kind of dealing with this, cyclically.
Yeah, for sure.
It just kind of happens now it feels like on a cycle. So,
Okay.
I don't know who won the last time.
Adam won.
Oh, that's right. But I won the people's poll.
And
that's where I get confused, because the people said that I won it and you guys pet it. And your
does not count as the
myopia
win,
said that I lost. So I think
doesn't matter
that's where I got
what team
confused.
won the Super Bowl. It's who won the people's vote that everybody talks about.
Yeah, because this is the Super Bowl.
It is.
You fucking dork. You dork. Okay, who's up? I shouldn't call you dork right before I hand you some.
I know. You're like, Ernest is horn, guys. You fucking dork. It's like, oh, you're going to handcuff me and then pistol whip me, you fucking pussy? All right.
All right. Well, Andrew, it is. You go first.
Yeah, this is a hard one. This is just right up front. I would never tell anyone to stop fighting when you've been wronged, because as we know, all of us know, and I know you and I know, Ben, we've been present when this happens. What the world wants more than anything else is for things to go back to normal. You know that there's nothing that society at large, when faced with these things once more, than to like tamp it down, push it under the rug, hide it in a closet, however they can get rid of it to try to restore that bullshit normalcy line is what they want. And we've seen that in the entertainment industry. We see that constantly in stand-up comedy. And you see that with your sexual abuse at the hands of the church, that they cannot get back to the quote unquote normal line fast enough. And if ignoring you is the cost of that, they are happy to do that. But I would say never stop fighting, because you never know what can turn things around for you. You hear all the time of people who they fought for justice for so long, and all it took was the right person hearing it at the right time who could get that traction and get it the attention it deserved, or put it in front of enough people for there to actually be some change. But what I really wanted to say is that you've been wronged and you have to carry this wrong. And the idea of justice is like a human invention, right? We all invented it so we could live in a society together. Justice does not exist in the natural world. There's no such thing as justice. We just invented that to try to make our lives seem fair. But as we all know, life is not fair. People get fucked over and they never get anything from it. They don't get justice and they don't even get vengeance. They get nothing. So you're carrying this wrong and you understandably want some kind of justice for it. And the world is not answering that. They are stringing you along. They're ignoring you, which is even worse, to feel like your valid cries are it's just a dead wall. That would feel terrible. And that's just kind of an example of how ephemeral the idea of this justice could be. So I would say, this is my advice: while you are fighting for some kind of recognition or justice with this, with the hurt that you're carrying, work to transform it whenever you can. And I think you're already so good at this. You're able to put it into music with lyrics and things like that. And a few months ago, you did a storytelling show with myself, the show that Ron and I do called The Narrators. And you told this story in front of that crowd. And You told it well. It had some like funny little moments. You did a great job. And I was watching the audience. I was standing in the back and I got to, kind of take in the show, but I also got to see the audience, like how like resonant it was with them, and not just with women, as you might expect, statistically, but a number of dudes who you wouldn't, if you were to judge them based on their look, that you might be surprised that it would like resonate with, and that they were like, that it was like affecting them in some way. And so you're able to take something, that is a source of hurt for you, and you can kind of take it out into the light and share it with other people and help them with it. And I don't know how cathartic that is on your end. Like if you go home and you're like, I wish I hadn't done that. But I could tell you, like, from seeing it in action, that it is like really effective. And that's a way to bypass the criminal justice system. That's a way to almost get your own kind of justice, which is to say, these people did this fucked up thing, and I'm not going to hide it, and I'm going to tell you about it. And together we can share in this experience, and it might help you, and it definitely helps me to just get it out there, because they're not going to fucking get away with thinking that it's a secret, because it's not a fucking secret. I'm telling it into microphones any chance I get, and I'm putting it out there in the world. And so it's kind of like you taking ownership of it instead of you holding it like a burden, waiting for them to help you with it. Because honestly, fuck them. I don't think they're going to. So that's my advice.
Damn. Adam, how do you feel about Andrew, like basically doing all of the advice in all one piece?
What I liked is how he said there's no justice in the natural world, and I'm just picturing Andrew as this, like, in a world with no justice, one man must live by a code. And so Andrew's stalking the planet like a vigilante, but he knows, like, he's from nature. He knows there's no justice. He sees
a world of no justice.
He sees apes tear each other apart. He sees the horrible old lion just be kicked out and have to go die alone. He's knows that's the natural.
He's got an animal story for every bad thing that happens.
Yes. Him in a scene like, I can't just stand around and watch it anymore.
No, but he does seek justice, even though he knows there's no justice. It's like a beautiful character. So I'm intrigued by that more than anything he said.
I'm with you. I like this character, and with his long hair, it's like, what was it? He was a hockey player.
Mutual of Omaha presents
American Soft
Animal
Boy.
Justice.
Well, thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew.
No, I thought it was a very good. It was good.
And Adam, you are up. In a world that's going to kill me. All right.
I think Andrew gave stellar advice, and I really like what he said up front about, like, never stop fighting, for sure. But I know what you've been going through. I know that they won't email you back. We all know the Catholic Church's tendency to just like delay, distract, bury.
And if you want to write those words onto bullet casings, you can.
Exactly.
But we didn't tell you to do that, and I want to be clear.
Right.
I'm just saying those would also be cool bullet casing words. If you wanted
also think it's kind of weird that Adam was in New York.
Who knows?
My buddy texted me. My buddy Jeremy Levenbach. He was just like, so the guy took a bus from Atlanta to New York, went through the Ramble in Central Park, the known birding spot. Like, Adam, this isn't looking good for you. That's like
so funny.
And then Adam sent a text that said, fucked around and shot a CEO this weekend.
I did
and
not.
I was like, no, you did not. No, you did not. I would never do that.
I would never send a text.
My dad's taught me better than that.
I just seek the justice in the world of no justice and then disappear back into the woods.
All right.
So in some level, you can't fight City Hall unless you have a lawyer who's like, I'm on this. I'm going to pursue this till I'm dead. you, Ben, are going to like go crazy being a citizen journalist trying to take down the Catholic Church. You can try, but I don't know if you want to dedicate your life to that because it doesn't seem like a very happy life. You know, they make movies like Spotlight because it's like the rare phenomenon where they fucking won with a team of journalists going after it hard, not like one guy who was having to do this alone. It's hard. I'm never saying don't do it, but I think it's exhausting and it makes for a terrible life. And the real win is like not letting that give you a terrible life, which I think you're already doing a great job of. But I know, like, and I'm going to just echo what Andrew said. I also know you've expressed a desire to like do a one-man show. Sounds like you did a little chunk of it. I know your comedy stylings. I bet it was at least 10, 15 minutes worth of a story.
They had me doing a half hour at a storytelling show.
Is that true?
Yeah, it was the Phoenix wanted to do it. They were like, you're doing a half hour. And I was like, holy fuck.
There you go, buddy. That's a half hour already of an hour show. And I'm not saying that like doing a one-man show is going to solve your fucking problems, but I can speak to it. And I'm pretty excited to speak about myself for a second.
Wow.
And you said that without even sounding the earnestness horn.
I know, because
so
I am.
Because we knew how earnest it was.
Yeah,
it's my favorite thing. I'm good at it, and I'd like to move it to me a little bit about Ben.
All right,
but
all right.
like, so I wasn't like, you know, a crime was not perpetrated against me. I lost Lydia, my sister, to suicide. For lack of a better, I've become an advocate for like mental health because of the stuff I've written about, put out, the one-man show, which was all just me dealing with this profound hurt through art. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what I find now, and what was very illuminating, I just went and made this movie, is like I wrote the script. People are acting out scenes that are kind of from my life, but it's certainly inspired by it. And I wrote it, but I had never seen anyone act it. And I would like burst into tears many fucking times because I was like, oh, I was not expecting it to hit me that way. It was like I was going at the grief, the actual sad hurt from a different angle. And it was like, oh, it was surprising. Mm-hmm. And what I'm trying to say is like with Happy Place, with my one-man show, with the book that I wrote, that's me controlling my path of grief. When I do my one-man show, it's sad, but I have literally wrote the path I'm going to take to talk about it. And so like, I don't have to be surprised by the feelings that I'm having. Nobody's coming up to me and having a conversation where I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm feeling your hurt really bad. I've made like a safe path for me to talk about this through the one-man show. And it's kind of a part from me now. It's like a piece of art that I can feel like, see, I've made this thing. I'm not avoiding this thing. However, I am distancing me, Adam, from the pain by giving you the one-man show, giving you the book. That's how I'm dealing with it, but I'm not going to sit there in it because I can't live that way. Okay. And so it's like, it's almost like the art was a way that I'm able to control my grief. And I think I see you and I know what a big heart you have. And so when you do the Ryan Warner story and people come out, I'm sure you talk with them at length. I'm sure you're messaging them back and forth. I'm sure you're feeling their hurt as you feel yours, and then it triggers your shit. And you're a sweetheart for doing that. You've got a very big heart, but I think it wrecks you. So like, I would argue what's been helpful for me is creating this safe path through artwork where I'm like, this is me dealing with it. However, I have some distance from it and it doesn't wreck me as hard. You know what I mean? And so
yeah.
All that is to say, try it. Try the one-man show or write a fucking big, beautiful thing. Like, there it is. It's out. Publish it on your website. Point people to it when they're like, hey, that happened to me. So I've experienced it. Could be like, cool, read this. It could help you. And pull yourself back a little from it. Because I think you just jump right into the real feeling of it. And to feel it every time, like I was feeling it on the movie set, is good to be in touch with it. But it's like, it fucking wrecks you. And you can't go there all the time. because it's just like not a good way to live.
Damn.
So there's a safety, and this is only to you and Andrew and me and artists. It's like literal art therapy, and not everybody has the skill set to do that shit, but it's a real form of therapy for people who are artistically inclined to be like, there it is. There's the piece. There's me dealing with it. Because we do feel this urge to get it out in what we do and what we express. So doing that has allowed me the freedom of not living in that place.
Yeah.
It's good advice. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I do that. Part of what led me to initially doing those interviews with Ryan Warner was, and Ryan didn't mean anything by it. I think the guy is a great guy, and he's very well meaning. Yeah, he's a super nice dude.
For those listeners, it's Colorado Public Radio. It's like
he does a lot of great stories and pieces on Colorado living and national stuff. But yeah, what he had posted was this trope about making sure that we make kids feel like they can come forward so that they don't hide what happened, what they don't tell what happened. When the reality is, and people listening know this who have experienced themselves, a lot of kids, a big portion of children and victims of sexual abuse stood up and said something to their families, like I did. And their parents or their guardians chose to do nothing for whatever reason. And like I talk about in these interviews, I've made amends with my parents about that. They did the best they could, but it wasn't my fault. And I think there's this part of me that I listen and I respond and I do that, even though it does take a part of me, is because I don't want other people to not feel
heard,
like they're not heard. And that's been the toughest part, because this whole process, which I set out to do, was just like, I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to be the arms that I wrap around myself, but I'm not going to treat myself like other people did. I'm going to listen to me, but typical, and everybody knows this, the legal system will make you feel like you're unheard all over again. That's a lot of what is coming up.
Yeah.
And I think like that theme of not feeling heard is cyclical in my life. When we've worked together and I become very stubborn, it's because I feel like I'm not being listened to. I feel very vulnerable, like you guys aren't hearing me. The times that we have clashed on things or whatever, you can pretty much just, and that's something that I'm definitely working through. And maybe
but Andrew might not have been hearing.
He doesn't hear.
In my defense, I don't hear. So you are literally not being heard by me. And I do feel bad that that's been the case.
I'd love it if Andrew doesn't know what any of this episode is about.
Like, Andrew's not picking this up. That advice was just like a dart that randomly hit.
That's just back pocket advice I'd give anybody. There's no justice in nature. There's no justice. That's something
Andrew,
that I'll tell anyone who'll listen.
We're just giving advice on eating while traveling. You know what I mean?
Nature doesn't know the concept of justice. It's an invention.
If you gave that, if from every episode on now,
I'll try to work it in if I can, because I think it's evergreen. I do.
Hey man, is Wadsworth that way? Nature knows no justice. Okay.
You think the lion needs a roadmap to find its next meal? They're like, Jesus Christ.
No, but
I was going to say on what you were just saying, Ben and Adam too. I do think that there's something admirable about it that you make yourself available, and I know that you would chat with anyone who would message you, but you do need to protect yourself. I think that it's best to think of yourself as treading water with this, and you're good at treading the water when you're by yourself. You've done it enough and you're fine. And someone is floundering up to you in the sea and trying to clutch onto you. it's not as easy to tread water anymore. They're pulling you under. You're trying. It makes you. It makes it more difficult for you, and just kind of keep that in mind as people are kind of coming up to you that they're you're not like a rock in a lighthouse. You're also treading water. You are not a foundational object in this ocean. You are also bobbing in it. So
100%.
Protect yourself when people come to you, and just know to set the boundaries of like, I'm so sorry that happened, and even direct them to professionals. There are hotlines, and there are people that you could maybe help people out with. That you are not the hotline, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You and I have very different personalities, and what we seek out of people in relationships, I think, is totally different because we're just different people. But there's ways to hear them that aren't platitudes, but also aren't giving yourself, a message like, oh man, I feel you. It's awful. I've found the best thing to do is just love and not let it destroy you and move on. You know what I mean? Like, you can give them a sentence or two versus like, let's have a discourse.
Yeah. This last one I think was like, we didn't necessarily talk for a ton of time, but there was definitely a feeling afterwards, my interactions that I had, because I was dealing with stuff in just my personal life, right, where I know that how I was feeling and what I was processing was making my guilt complex even worse. It was making me feel super vulnerable, which then causes me to be more defensive. You know what I mean? And it's just this thing where, I'm carrying more stress or something in my head where I find that I don't, I think given these things and stuff that we've talked about with my own personality and my own responses to things, I'm starting to learn I need as much bandwidth as possible to be able to, to control some of these emotions and feelings that come up. And when I feel like I'm carrying something else, I don't handle things as well as I probably could and should.
Yeah.
And so I think that's like, where I'm at.
All of this is so acutely self-aware, buddy. Like, you're speaking about yourself very intelligently. I think you know where you're at. And that's very perceptive, where it's like, if other things aren't going well in your life currently, or just and then
just
something like this
stuff
happens.
It's
just normal stuff. But like, and then you go down the rabbit hole with somebody. Now the normal stuff that you can deal with, you can't deal with, and like you just said that. So to eliminate doing that, or to recognize like, oh, I got a fucked up message from someone who's gone through similar shit. Pull back and be like, how am I doing? Actually, I'm not doing great right now. So it's like, I
think that's like where I ended up. Because when I got back, or while I was there, I messaged the detectives again. I find myself searching things. I found myself like becoming like, how do I fucking fix this? How do I, you know what I mean? And then that takes up emotional bandwidth, to where I, like my nerves are more frazzled, and I find myself in situations where I wish I could have kept my cool a bit more. It's just not as easy to do, and that's hard in certain situations where you're trying not to give you're trying to be like behave in a certain manner so as to not give away anything, so those are good pieces of advice. It's really hard because
it's super hard. I also want to say, like, I feel like I'm a snake oil salesman for EMDR, but it fucking helped me so much. And there was kind of a point in it where you're like, I'm done. And you just knew it, And so I think there's no harm in not writing anything, not addressing, not doing any art, just fucking like being in this therapy for a while, for as long as you need, and then coming back and looking at it, be like, you know what, now I think I'd like to tackle this in a show, or if you're still even feeling that urge. There's nothing wrong with like going through EMDR therapy, which I believe to be the right therapy for you right now. privately and
it's
alone
so far,
and process it.
like I said, so far it's, we're doing like parts work where we're talking about, because it's different, I think, for what you and I were both processing. And I've built up voice, like it's not a voice. I mean, I'm not schizophrenic, but just we all have voices that speak for us in certain scenarios.
Your Italian voice?
Yeah,
Or
the
Donnie D.
Vespucci, the racist one. And he comes on and he says, what's your problem? No, it's this, and Donnie D. And
Donnie
my
D.
therapist does not like
Those are the
this
two
guy.
angels on his shoulder, the Italian trope.
But
and
when
Donnie
I
D.
Morning radio DJ.
When I have to give away some things, when I have to pare down my belongings, who's going to give away this stuff? And it's got to be this guy, because he's a guy that's typical for giving away things.
I mean, we jest, but like this might be what's going on.
No. No, but what I've found is, I've built up, a side of me that felt like I was walked on or wasn't heard, that demands to be heard. You know what I mean? It's this side that when I feel like I'm being, if anything is potentially putting me in a vulnerable situation, that voice speaks at that point. And I'm working so hard to not fully cut that part of me out, but to try to temper when. And I just find it is much more difficult to be aware of that when I'm giving bandwidth or like attention to that. It's like that guy is like on guard a lot more, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
he's like, nah, like you're gonna, and then the next thing I know, I'm saying something that I don't mean, and it's hard to take those things back. And that's,
I love you to me in that parking lot the other night, you pig.
Well, Andrew,
pig.
You walked me to my car, and I said it, and then I was like, that's over exaggerated, but I'm clearly feeling vulnerable right now.
This is exactly what happened with me and Jim at the gym in the parking lot when I tried to hug him goodbye.
It's back,
All right,
baby.
all right.
No,
you
wait,
fuck-
I want to say more serious things. So here we go. Don't cry,
Okay.
but feel free to cry. I think like our things are very different, but I was fucked up. And and then I thought at some point I was like, your little sister Lydia does not want you feeling this way. Like she would be really fucking sad if your life was ruined because of her. Ditto little Ben. He'd be really fucking sad if your life was ruined because of that. And so like the big fuck you to the hurt that you experienced is to be like, didn't break me, so fuck off. And that's how little Ben, Lydia wants you to be. Where it's like, and it's the cliche macro, life is short, life is a gift. So what are you going to walk around fucking broken? Or you got how many years left? Soak it up, dude. Enjoy it. Because that's the win.
I'm thankful I've been able to make a living off of making art and doing things with two of my best friends and playing
make
music.
a cool fucking kiddo and put him in the world.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of good shit.
And so I feel successful in some respects, but this has been the thing that's just followed me around, that I've, for a while have really been afraid to take a full look at. It's something I've wanted to do for myself. I've told people like, this is, doing some more intense therapy and that kind of stuff. And I think that that's kind of why I'm here. But, and why I brought that up is I think I'm now really like delving into a lot of the emotions and a lot of the ways in which I deal with certain things, so I can continue to have better relationships and better interactions with people and myself. So, I appreciate the advice. This is really hard to pick one, because I think you both
There
gave,
must be a winner. There must be a
can
winner.
only be one.
and I hate this, and I hate doing this, only because I think you guys were very similar, and I appreciate both of them, because I think you were both saying the similar thing about create something, don't worry so much. I'm going to give it to Adam just because of the not like try to limit the amount of attention you're giving to each one, that little piece. But I do think I hate picking a winner on this because I really do appreciate both of your advice on it. And but I don't like Andrew, and I said I love you, and I didn't mean it in the parking lot.
I know.
So
That's clear now.
I'm
Now
gonna
you're
go with
overcompensating.
Adam.
Like, yeah.
No,
I'll take the
and,
win. I'll take the win, and I appreciate it. But
Adam did give great advice. This is the rare episode. You know what? I'm not even going to contest it. I think Adam gave great advice.
Well, that's because you know that you really fucking dropped the ball on this one, and you failed one of your best friends.
I gave you one of
me.
life's most crucial lessons. You're going to be thinking about that out in the world with your leg broken in a subway station trying to crawl for help. Nature does not know justice.
That is, I mean, I think I won.
I've
but
been
I think
screaming
the most
that
important
so much.
takeaway is nature does not know justice.
I've been screaming that so much that if I get a wellness visit because my neighbors call someone, it will not surprise me.
I don't know if our listeners are enjoying this run of episodes, but we've been graced by a new Andrew character nearly every episode, and each one seems to be more complex and more terrible than the next.
I'm trying, like, the backstory for this one's insane. Like, I feel like he was like a wildlife biologist who was trying to like help a species that was endangered, and he just witnessed.
He was like the host of like a Planet Earth style show, and then he had like a breakdown. His family was killed by mobsters, and he Punisher style. And now
and then he watched
enacts.
like a ring-tailed lemur troop like steal a baby from another troop and beat it to death, and he was like, that's
I don't know
nature.
where we're going anymore.
That's nature.
Thank you guys for listening, and thank you for
my God.
And Patreon
Well, we'll put a poll up, and
yeah.
you can tell us who you thought really gave Ben the best advice.
No, we'll put the poll up, but seriously, we're always open to hear your thoughts and whatever you all want to share. So feel free, if you're a Patreon subscriber, chime in on it. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and I know I brought this to you because I know you guys know me probably the best, with the exception of my ex-wife and Milo. And I also wanted to bring this to this episode because I know there are people who have come forward who listen to this podcast who have experienced similar things, and maybe this inspires you or resonates with you. Maybe it's not art, maybe it's some other way you choose to deal with it, but thank you guys.
I think if it's not art, it's what you are continuing to do, which is like work through it and continue to not just be like, if you hit a wall in therapy, now you're trying a new thing, and like that's commendable, dude. So like you're doing the right stuff already.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I keep the dialogue. I like keeping it public. I know some people have thoughts about it and think that it's strictly for validation or whatever. But I receive a lot of messages from people, and I believe in it, that this is how we help each other collectively. And I know you've felt that way, Adam, with the stuff you've created. And Andrew,
I do for
know you
sure.
feel that.
But I do. I think Andrew and I would both say, keep yourself first. You're treading water too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks, y'all. Why don't we do this? Producer Ron buzzed me. He sent me a message. He doesn't want to talk to you guys, but he sent me a message and he said, "Why don't we listen to some live stand-up comedy from me, from Ben Roy? We'll listen to some live stand-up comedy. From myself. We're going to listen to some live stand-up comedy from Ben Roy, who has a special right now on Hulu. Go ahead, go watch it. It's called Hyena. It's before Adams. Don't watch Adams, but you can watch mine. And then when we return, Third Actors, you're on deck. Holy crap, it's your time. You've had to sit through a long one, but we've got the best third act in the biz. We've got our plugs. We've got more show. So just stay tuned with us. I'm so glad Thanksgiving's over. Are you all happy Thanksgiving's done? Yeah, fuck that shit. Just an unfuckable people pageant. It's fucking terrible.
It's the worst fucking thing ever. What a weird holiday. Aside from the like genocide and all and everything like that, it's just a bizarre holiday. Like if you walked into somebody's house with no frame of reference as to what was happening, you definitely think there was some sort of mental breakdown happening. Or they're on an incredible methamphetamine run. Like, it feels wrong. You always just walk into somebody's house at, like, 11:30, and they're fucking disheveled, their hair is up, they're covered in flour, and they're like, fuck, yeah, what's up? Yeah, I've been up since 4:30 this morning. I started the bird at 4:30. I've got a 23-pound gobbler in the fucking oven right now. I also, I made a chicken, I made a honey-baked ham, and then I did a little bit of a chef's salad on the side. I've also got steamed carrots. I did a little bit of Brussels sprouts, and then I did a green bean casserole. Of course, I've got a broccoli casserole, and then I've got a sweet pea a sweet potato casserole. I found some marshmallows, and I put them on top with brown sugar, which you think is fucking terrible, but it's delicious. I didn't even see that coming. And then I wanted some citrus, and so I just opened a can, and I fucking shook out this gelatinous fucking bullshit onto it, and then I just cut that with a butter knife, and I left the striations from the can on it. Honestly, that's when I checked out of the whole thing, but then I rebooted, and then I got back into it, and I baked some bread, and of course I made an apple pie, a pumpkin pie, a chocolate cream pie, a banana cream pie, and of course the key lime pie. And then, I hope you don't mind, I invited everybody that's still talking to me to come over and have dinner. I hope you don't fucking mind that. And you're like, Jesus Christ, how many people are showing up? 4. Yeah, 4 people. 5, including myself. It's always insane. There's so much fucking food. It's nuts.
Third actors, welcome. Thanks for being here. How are you? Nice to see you. You look like you've been working out. You look like you've been eating better, and that is a great choice because, we're not trying to body shame or anything, but like you don't want to be bogged down with bad food choices because you feel terrible. So it's good to see you looking good. It's good to see you feeling good.
And it's in their color. That's where I'm noticing it. They used to be flushed.
It's kind of a carrot orange.
Yes. Yeah. And I thought it was jaundicey, but it's actually a dye.
I love jaundicey, the 90s R&B group.
Jaundicey. With their number one single, Put Me Under That Special Light.
Yeah. Oh my God. I loved that. Oh man!
Hey, I got a thanks. Thank you, Ben, for bringing a vulnerable issue to us. Your 2 wisecracking, jackassing friends, and sharing that with us. Thank you. Yes.
Well, I love you guys, and I want to say thank you to you both.
Oh, now you love me again? I can't. I went off of the seesaw, Ben.
Anyway, I care about you guys deeply, and thank you guys for being the bestest besties and for being for the great advice. And I
love you,
appreciate
girl.
You guys,
love you, Queen.
Andrew, how are you feeling about doing the song?
Nobody wants to say about anything about what I just said?
I don't want to. I don't even want to go down that. Andrew, how do you feel about the song today? How are you feeling? Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready to do it. All right. Bugs.
I'll go first. Right now. Hey, everybody, if you are listening to this 1 week from tomorrow, if you're listening when this episode comes out, December 18th, I will be headlining Comedy Works downtown. It is my last stand-up show of the year. And I would love to fill the room. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. You said make art. I'm making art. Anyway,
right.
Wednesday, December 18th, I'll be headlining Comedy Works, the downtown club, the one you love. So I would love to see you there. You can get tickets now. Please come out and see me. Who's got one? Who's got the next?
Well, not to poach from Ben's big night, but that same Wednesday, I'm hosting the Narrators. Ron Doyle, Aaron Rollman, and myself run the storytelling show, The Narrators. It's pay whatever you want. It's a great show. We've got a killer lineup. So if you don't want to see Ben, and you have seen him, come on down to the Narrators. Come on down to the
That's fair
narrators.
enough. No, that's legit. Fair enough.
And real quick, Ben and I, this Friday, we're doing a show together in Maine at Cumpston Hall.
Yep, we are in
I'm gonna be
beautiful
up there.
Monmouth, Maine. Andrew's going to be with me. We're going to be telling jokes at this beautiful theater. Tickets are almost gone. You're going to want to get them now. If you're listening, get them now. Reserve your seats immediately because otherwise you're going to be left out in that bitter central Maine cold. Adam, what do you got?
Listen, if you don't want to see Ben on December 18th, you don't want to see Andrew on December 18th, go to Albuquerque, New Mexico and see me. Is this
I'm
entire
taking a hot
show-
air balloon.
Is it? Yeah, well, you know what they do down there. You know how they get down.
I know how to get down
Or
there.
they get up.
Is this entire show because I needed one flight to get A-list on Southwest next year? So I chose the
never know.
quickest flight from Denver to perform? I don't know. Maybe. But I hear really good things about this Dry Heat Comedy Collective doing very cool indie shows in Albuquerque.
They are.
And I'll be doing it December 18th. I've never performed there. Never performed in Albuquerque.
Yeah, I've never
which is
performed in
wild.
Albuquerque either. That's crazy.
So I'm excited to do it. So if you live in New Mexico, please come to Albuquerque December 18th. And then that weekend, the 20th and 21st, I'm headlining the Comedy Fort in Fort Collins, one of the best clubs in the country. I want to
What
do
a run.
another plug, sort of a call to action. A terrible thing happened to a very good friend of ours named Andrew Michael. Great
Right.
comedian out of Atlanta. And I was just hanging out with him in Atlanta a bunch. He was going to open for me in Fort Collins at these shows. Sweetheart, got hit by a car while jogging. Awful.
One of the best people on the
and
planet.
a guy who's already handled his life's ration of bullshit.
Yeah, his family's had some health issues, and it just fucking sucks. He's in the ICU. They think he's going to make it, but he might be paralyzed. There's a surgery he's having. It's just awful. People are being very kind, donating to a GoFundMe. So Ron's going to put a link to that GoFundMe in the notes. If you have some extra cash for a family going through hell right now, please give it to Andrew Michael, who's our dear friend, and we're wishing you the best, buddy.
Yeah, we love you, Andrew. Please get better soon. And what a great fucking dude.
Yeah,
like
I was just
seriously,
hanging
one of
out with
the-
him in Atlanta. I saw him down there and his wife Chelsea, and yeah, it's really fucking sad.
Yeah, well, all of those tickets to all those shows, as well as to donate to that, as Adam said, down there in the show notes. I'm going to take a crack at these. I'm just going to go cash.
You going speed?
No, I'm going to go cash. I'm going to say...
No one can top your speed, Andrew. It's like becoming pretty clear. So we're trying to find new ways to compete.
Okay,
I just want to say...
Let's go for slowest. Just kidding.
I want to say big thank you to producer Ron Doyle for making this show happen. This show happen. Making this show happen.
Too cash.
And I'd like to say a big thanks to Mike Henderson for your help recording at our live show. Yeah, that's it. Give me a... Yeah, that's hip, cats. That's some hip daddy-o stuff right there. As always, our theme music is brought to you by our good pal, Charlie Continental. Yeah! You can follow us everywhere and anywhere you want to on social media at Grawlix Comedy. And don't forget to give us a follow and help support this podcast, patreon.com/Grawlix Saves, man.
You've been listening to the Mouth Jazz podcast.
Mouth jazz. I don't like that. Ooh, I got a mouthful
That's
of
what I call
jazz.
it. That's what I call it.
Mouthful of jazz. Wow. What a great job. You both did it. And Adam, I had no idea that you were such a stunning hi-hat player.
Buddy. I scat. I'm out there in the clubs. I'm on the scene.
Yeah, digging
Sounds
through
good.
scat. Well, what an episode. We're going to be back next week with we're going to be back next episode with the next episode.
With a brand new week.
We'll be back next episode, heralding the week as we do. The week can't begin unless we bring it.
Can't even do this right. Play us out, Charlie.
Are there any heroes left at all? A few strong souls that pick us up when we fall down. We looked around for those rare kinds of folks, but the best we did was these dumb jokes that tell big jokes. We're getting fixed, our worries are nixed. Let's
There you go. Don't give up. Great job. Just a few more. You've got this. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, you did it. I'm proud of you.